y'all, welcome to Criminally Creative, a channel about my various creative endeavors. I'm Susan. You can find me on Ravelry as Legal Eagle and on Instagram as Criminally Creative Podcast. Today is Monday, January 16th, 2023. It is the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday here in the United States. So I had the day off work and I thought I would take an opportunity to record a video. It's been about a month since I recorded a regular video. I did do a whip parade a couple of weeks ago. Excuse me. And so I'm going to show progress from the whip parade. So any progress I made in the couple weeks between my last video and the whip parade, you won't see here. So if you're curious about a project that I showed back in December on the 17th or something, and you don't see it today, then go back to the whip parade, which was the last episode. Anyway, I'm rambling already. I still have a little bit of a cough. I say that and I cough. So I apologize, but it's not as bad as it was last time when I did the whip parade. So let's see. What else is there? Hearsay. I mentioned in my whip parade, Christmas. I got sick at Christmas. I mean, it was a nice Christmas, but I got a bad cold. And so we left my daughters a little bit early on Christmas Day and came on home because I just wasn't up to it. But that's about it. New Year's Eve, we decided to stay home because we were supposed to go to some friends and do like a bonfire in the backyard. But because I was coughing badly, we decided that probably wasn't a good idea. And then it ended up raining a lot of New Year's Eve anyway. So we probably, hindsight, weather-wise, we probably could have done the bonfire because it stopped raining, I think, before really we would have started it. But we just stayed home and had a quiet night. My husband wasn't even in bed before midnight. So honestly, I party on New Year's Eve only because people expect you to party on New Year's Eve. I'm perfectly content to not do anything. So, and again, I'm going to apologize. I'm not going to apologize every time, but talking makes me have to cough more. So usually it's more of a clear throat cough. If I have a coughing fit, I will pause the video and edit it out. Let's see. So after New Year, the only other thing that's happened since then is I went to a baby shower Saturday. And I'll show you, I had showed you the blanket I was making for that baby shower. I had to gift it Saturday, so I'll show you pictures of it when we get to verdicts here in a minute. But anyway, so that actually leads into verdicts. I had showed you back in December the blanket I was working on for the baby shower I attended Saturday. And I did finish that. I will put a picture of it here. And that, I used the pattern Bundle of Joy by Judith Thierry. Did it largely according to the pattern. The pattern is really kind of a recipe, but she did have some instructions for doing the stockinette stripes that I did not follow because honestly, I didn't really see the point of them. She likes to do that so you can weave ends in both sides to reduce bulk or something, but I don't find that to be a problem. So I just did my stockinette stripes the same way I did the rest of it. But I did that in Expression Fiber Arts Seacoast Fingering in 5 different colors. I do have a project page on Ravelry for that if you're interested in the color names. And I did that on a US 6 4mm needle. So, did that, actually knocked that out in just a couple weeks, but it was mostly garter stitch with the little bits of stockinette, so it didn't take long. So, the next knitting verdict I have is my high-low temperature cowl that I was doing for 2022. This is a pattern by Victoria Myers, and I did finish it. I have not, even though it's been finished for a couple weeks, I haven't washed it yet, so it's still a little hinky. And this pattern was corrugated rib with the high temperature from every day is the knit stitch and the low temperature were the purls. As you can see, we had quite a warm summer. The hot pink was when we got over 100 degrees or 100 degrees or over. And what I did here at the end is I did some stockinette with my whole color scheme. So that variegated was what I used if both the high and the low were under 35 degrees, and then went up through my color ranges through to the hot pink, which is what I added when we had a couple of days that were 100 degrees or higher. And then I did the variegated again just to kind of run that together. So anyway, I need to give that a wash, but it's done. I did that on US 4s, 3.5 millimeters, and I used my Advent kit from Fiber Studio at Yarns to Die For from 2020. So I still had that and had not used that yet. And then the next verdict is I finished my temperature bookshelf. Sorry, I have not ironed this yet. Obviously, I didn't get my margins quite right because I have a lot more up top than I have at the bottom, but I have plenty. I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do with this. This pattern is by Christie's Corner. And the fabric is a 36 count Jody's fabric. I'm not going to frame this, but I'm also not going to put it in, I know some people do these and put them in like, temperature charts every year and put them in like a journal. I would never look at it again. I think I'm going to do some kind of soft finish. Because it's books, I probably will hang it somewhere near one of our bookcases or something like that. So, we'll see. I haven't decided yet. For now, it will go in the underbed box, and it might be forever before I finish it. So that's on my verdicts. I did do add up a few statistics from my stitching for last year that I did not have when I did my wet parade. For those of you who are interested in these sort of things, in 2022, I stitched a total of 137,844 stitches. The most I did in 1 month was in July, and that was 14,888. And the least month was September, when I only did 9,516. Most months I averaged around 12 to 13,000 stitches or so. I went to look back at my calendar. I'm not sure exactly why it was so much lower in September. I can't think of what, if anything, was going on. There must have been something. Oh, you know what? I think we were doing redistricting at work. That's probably why. I was working a lot. So anyway, that was 2022. I'm actually expecting this year to probably be lower because of work is going to be a lot busier these first 6 months of the year than it was last year, because my odd number years are busier than even number years. So I work longer hours, which means less stitching time. But anyway, let's get on to quarters in session. We'll start first with the knitting, and I just realized that I forgot to bring one of my projects. Just a minute. Okay, so the first knitting project is the blanket that I'm doing for my coworker, and you have seen this before. This is a chevron blanket that I'm not following a specific pattern. I'm doing kind of portions from different patterns. I've just, over the years, done several chevron blankets and do them the way I like to do them. So anyway, the yarn I'm using is Yarn Bee Sugar Wheel Cotton. It's a brand from Hobby Lobby, and the colorway is Be Still My Tart. So, and this is as far as I've gotten, but it gives you most of the colors. There's a little bit darker green I'm just starting or getting ready to get into. But anyway, so just doing a chevron. And I've got 3 skeins of the yarn, so I'll just work through as they come, except I'll color manage a little bit. If the next ball doesn't start on the collar I'm on, I'll wing that. So anyway, that's where I am. I'm doing that on US 6 4mm needles. The next, sorry, I have a bad habit of turning and throwing stuff away and back and talking while I'm facing backwards. The next project is actually crochet. This is one of the next 2 projects are actually scrap blankets. So this is one of my scrap blankets. This is the only scrap blanket that I actually worked on last year in 2022. And so this year I did a whip go chart for my scrap blankets so that I could get some regular work on them. This is a giant granny square that I started 2020, I think. I think I started in 2020, maybe. I don't remember when I started. Anyway, so I'm going to put a picture here of what it looked like at the end of 2021. Because I did work on it last year, but I don't know. I'm going to put a picture of what it looked like end of 2021. Actually, I did take a picture the other day of what it looks like, what it looked like at the end of 2022. So I'll put both those pictures up here. And I'm going to show you, kind of show you the blanket, but it's really, it's big and it's hard to see at this point. But I also discovered last night that this is about to be done. And the reason is, I mean, it's a good bit. It's longer than my wingspan. I mean, wider than my wingspan. And I'm not quite 5'1". So if you go by the, I don't know if it's fact or wives' tale that your wingspan is also your height, I'm guessing it's a little over 5 feet wide now. I realized last night, and I don't know what made me start counting, that I'm trying to find the right side to show you. The side where I'm finishing my rounds, excuse me, I have lost some stitches. And by lost stitches, I mean I've apparently missed I'm about 10 stitches shorter on this side than the rest of the blanket, which is making it, and you'll notice this in the pictures, it's not laying flat at all. So I decided last night that as soon as I finish this round that I'm on and get back around to the starting point, that I'm probably just going to call this done. I mean, it's a good size of a lap blanket right now. So I will probably, it's probably big enough to even like sit on the top of the queen size bed, not drape over the sides, not come all the way up, but just to be like something extra over your feet or something. So anyway, I'm done with it. Who knows? I might even just take it to the animal shelter. It's all sock yarn, so it's washable. So I don't know. We'll see. I might take it to the homeless shelter or something. I don't know. It's nice and heavy and warm because it's sock yarn held double. So it's like a DK weight. But I just decided I'm not going to perpetuate. I don't know enough about crochet. I mean, I could add 10 extra stitches, but then that's just going to make it wonkier. So whatever. It's a scrap blanket. As soon as I finish that round, it's going to be done. The next scrap blanket I'm going to show you is one that I did not work on at all in 2022, but I have done a few squares on this year, which you're not going to really notice a big difference, but I just thought I'd show it to you so you could see. So here is a picture of what it looked like at the end of 2021, laying out on my kitchen floor with my ancient towel. Sorry, I'm trying to find my needles so I don't lose them when I pick it up. I bought a set of, signature, short, straight needles to use on this because I knew it was going to be a long-term project. And let's see, at the top or bottom. Anyway. I'm not going to be able to hold the whole thing up, but you get the idea. It's mitered squares. I'm doing 31 stitch squares, and I have, in the past week or so, added, I think 8 squares to it. So this top row right here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've added 9 squares to it this year. So my goal for this is 20 squares every time it comes up on Whip Go. So my Whip Go board for this, I had 5 scrap blanket projects. And so basically I just went 1 through 5, except the free space I skipped the one, what I call my scrap, truly scrap or something. I can't remember what I call it, but I have one that I'm doing strips of like much smaller pieces of scrap yarn. So since I'm going to call the granny blanket done, I have not decided yet what I'm going to replace the squares with on my Whip Go. I've finishing this round will complete my goal for Whip Go for this month. It was one of my Whip Go calls, as was this. I'm debating either replacing it with one of my other blankets, or I haven't decided. I belong to Franklin Habit's Patreon, and he is starting a series for his patrons for crazy quilting, which is a garter stitch intarsia blanket. You make it in squares. You don't do the entire blanket, but squares that will make it look like the old-fashioned patchwork with the crazy quilt stuff. So I'm thinking about starting that. If I do, I'm not going to start it for another week or two. And I think if I start that, I will probably replace my granny square blocks with that blanket, because I will also be doing that one out of scrap. So we'll see. Anyway, so that's all the knitting and crocheting. Let's get to the stitching, because that's, I think, what most of y'all are here for. So my 2 January Whip Go calls for cross stitch. The first one was Winter White Santa by Mirabilia. Excuse me. My goal for Whip Go for my cross stitch projects is, general goal is 10 hours per project whenever it's called. As the year goes on, if it's a really busy month at work, I might modify that, but I'm going to start each month with the goal of hitting 10 hours on each of the projects. So this is Winter White Santa by Mirabilia. Sorry. That's what it will look like when it's finished. This is what it looked like the last time that I showed it. I have finished my 10 hours on this month. Sorry. And here's where it is now. So let me see if I can fold that a little bit closer so I can get handle on it to get it closer. So you can see the white that I've done. So before I had done, I think I'd done a little bit of this right here, but it kind of went right there. So I've done all this up here in the 10 hours. I haven't actually added up yet, but I definitely got at least 2,000 stitches on it in the 10 hours. And that's kind of why I set the 10-hour goal, because on most projects, I can do about 200, around 200 stitches an hour. It depends on the project. I mean, full coverage, sometimes not, because if it's confetti. But that, in a general sense, I usually can get close to 200 stitches an hour. And so that 10 hours gives me about 2,000 stitches. My other Whip Go call for the month was Autumn Cloche by Hello from Liz Matthews. I love this. Let me back up. Sorry, I forgot to tell you stuff about Winter White Santa. I am doing that on 32 count Little Dove from XJU Designs with all the called for floss and stuff. So, this is, again, Autumn Cloche by Hello from Liz Matthews. This is what it looked like the last time you saw it. I have finished about 7 hours on this one. And this is what it looks like now. So most recently, I've extended that a little bit, and I've been working on this pumpkin. So I am doing this in the called for MPI, except that like you see the snail and the butterfly with the blues. The called for MPIs for those, there's 3 colors that are in the picture. Let me pull the picture out. You know, all that, see all the flowers, the butterflies, they all look like blue, and like a blue or a grayish blue or a bluish gray. The called for MPIs are actually like 2 grays and what to me looks like a brown. And that darkest bluish color would be the brown, and I don't like that. So I think the called fors are like 962, 63, 64, and I am instead using let me see what I did. I've got it. Oh no, I don't have it written down there. 9, 22, 23, 24, and 25. So one of the symbols I'm actually using 2 different flosses for, depending on where it is. Because some places, like this bottom right here, I'm using 922 because it's the more gray. But up in here, the same symbol I used, I think 924. One of the other of those 4 I just listed. Because the picture to me looks more blue-gray and not the brownish color that it calls for. So those are my 2 whip go calls for January. Like I said, I got about 3 more hours on Autumn Close to get my gold, and I will get that this week. My full coverage focus for this month is Treasure Hunt Bookshelf. Sorry, backing up again. I got to get in the back of the hang of this. Autumn Close I'm doing on 40 count fabric from Atomic Ranch in the Vapors colorway. My full coverage focus this week is Treasure Hunt Bookshelf, which is a Heaven and Earth Designs pattern based on artwork by Amy Stewart. This is what it will look like when it's finished, which may be 2 decades from now. This is what it looked like at the end of 2022. And here's where I am now. I've done a little over 1,000 stitches on this month. My general goal for my full coverage focus each month is really going to be more like 2,000 stitches. This is kind of an unusual month because we are getting ready to leave on a trip for over a week. And I know I can't take something like this with me. So I focused primarily on getting my whip goes done at the beginning of the month, and 1,000 stitches on this just so, and then I probably won't get any more on that this month. So basically for 2 weeks of the month, I'm not going to get anything done on that. That is on 25 count, just Lugana. I do that. I do my full coverages 1/1 unless I say differently. Excuse me. And then I'm kind of working rotation this year, trying to get through my whips kind of in the order of start. Treasure Hunt Bookshelf was is my oldest whip. My next oldest that I've worked on is Kingdom of Books. This is a Russian kit that I bought online. I don't know which word, whatever. The designer translate to make it with your own hands. And there are several people who are doing this and not doing it on the kit fabric. They're doing it on fabric that has like this color background so that they don't have to stitch all of it. At the time that I started this, I was just getting back into cross stitch. Sorry, I had found my needles I didn't want to lose. And I just, I didn't really know much about, I had cross stitched for years, but all I knew was Ada and DMC. When I came back into cross stitch the first time, about 2016, which didn't last very long, that's still all I knew, and I didn't really learn. I hadn't found floss tube. I didn't learn about, the hand-dyed fabrics and stuff like that. So I just did this kit on the 14 count Ada. And I've had to stitch some fabric on here to get to the bottom part a little better. So here's where it was at the end of 2022. And here's where it is now. So I've done a little over my rotation this year. Everything I touch, I want to do at least 500 stitches before I move on to the next project. That doesn't mean I have to do 500 stitches at one sitting, but So I've done a little over 500 stitches on this. It's probably it's mostly this green in here, which is one strand, kind of background. A little bit of this down here. I got down to the bottom of that gate. So that is that one. The next one in the rotation, this is Happily Ever After by the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. This is what a picture of what it will look like when it's finished. And this is what a picture of what it looked like at the end of 2022. And I have worked on this a little bit. This is on 14 count Opal Ada, dyed by Picture This Plus in the Helix colorway. I bought this as a kit. This was the Stitch Along in 2017. And I started it January 1, 2017 and quickly petered out. But I got a lot done on it last year. So basically what I've done since the end of the year is I did this little part and then I've done this much. And I have decided that I want to finish this in time for my youngest granddaughter's birthday in June. Because I think she's only 2. She'll be 3 in June. So I think this would be great. A great little piece to have in her room. And I figured out last night that I don't have that much left to do. It's 3,000 and some stitches or something. If I do at least 875 stitches, February, March, April, May, it will be done by the end of May. So that I can then, I will probably just frame it myself or something so that I can get it ready for her birthday on June 18th. I think her birthday's 18th. Anyway, so that's my goal for that. I'm going to try to get that done for her birthday in June. Let's see. So the next thing is I Zoom with Pam from Stitching in the Land of Good Enough, who also is the owner of Stitch New England in North Attleboro, Massachusetts. I always want to say Maine, but it's Massachusetts. She does a Zoom, 2 Zoom calls a month. One for people stitching Hawker and Hollow patterns from Carriage House Samplings, and one for what she calls fancy folk, which are, Mirabilias, Bella Filipinas, stuff like that. And I do both of those. And so we had our Hawker and Hollow Zoom last week. And so I worked on this some. This is what it will look like when it's finished. And this is what it looked like at the end of 2022, which you'll basically see here in a minute, except for one little bit. And so I managed Thursday night to get, by the end of 2022, I'd done the first 2 blocks. So Thursday night, I got the 3rd block outlined, and I got a start on the words. I am doing this on 27 count Linda, which is an even weave, in the Whisper colorway, and I'm doing it 1/1 because I did not want it to be gigantic. And I'm doing the DMC version. It's charted in both MPI and DMC, and I'm doing the DMC version. Except there's a couple places I might tweak a little bit color-wise just to suit my own color palette better, but I haven't gotten there yet. So now we're down to new starts, which I had planned a New Year new start, but then Pam from Stitching in the Land of Good Enough, I watched her video and was enabled to do 2 additional new starts. So my New Year new start is Dragonfly Lace Mandala, which is a chatelaine. This is my first chatelaine. I'll post a picture here of what it will look like when it's finished. And since it's a new start, I don't have anything. Sorry, I'm looking for a bag to put behind it because it's gonna. And so this is where I have gotten to. I started in the center. This is the very center. There's a treasure that goes there. And I'm doing this on 32 count Zweigart Silver Moon. So the fabric is just lightly gray. And I'm hoping that everything will show up on it. Now, if there's one thread color that I'm a little worried about, but we'll see when we get there. So that was my New Year, New Start, my 2 new starts, which I hadn't really planned, but so I am, after watching Pam, the Cottage, let me get it, my Cottage Garden Samplings, want to make sure I have the right, I always get Cottage Garden Samplings, Cottage House Needleworks, all those confused. So Cottage Garden Samplings, they're the ones that did the Into the Woods series last year with, you know, that beautiful reindeer and the fox and all that. And I bought all those patterns, but I was waiting to get all of them to decide how to do them. And I haven't decided yet. So this year their theme is snowmen. And I've got an auto ship through Pam's shop for the snowmen. But I was planning on waiting till the end of the year, and deciding then what to do with them. Well, Pam, I was watching her floss tube, and she had started them and is doing all of them on one piece of fabric. And Cottage Garden provides a free border if you want to do them all on one fabric. And the border says the Snowman Collector, and you know, they're different. They're not all identical in size, so it gives you a layout that they work for. And I wasn't able and decided I had to start it. So the first one is the Needleworker. This is the only one I have so far. Pam has the second one, which is the clown for me, but I told her to wait and ship it with my fabric so that I didn't have to pay but one shipping charge. So I just don't have that yet. And then the third one just came out, the second one is a clown. The third one just came out is the Shepherd, I think it's called. But it's got sheep and stuff on it, so I'm really excited about that. So I'm doing this on 28 count Lugana in the Whisper colorway, 1/1, because I didn't want it to be humongous. I think if you do it on, I was trying to think what Pam had said. I think even up to like 40 count, I think takes over a fat quarter. So anyway, so this is where I've gotten so far. Now, I haven't decided. That's actually showing up pretty well. The white is 38.65, which is what's called for. Because this is the Whisper colorway, which is kind of a really light gray. And I feel like the ball here shows up, but I'm not sure. I might pull a strand of B5200 and just try it down here a little bit to see if that shows up better, because I haven't done so much white that I couldn't start over with that. So I haven't decided yet, but that's as far as I've gotten. That again, my rule for new starts this year is also that I have to get at least 500 stitches in them. So that's a little over 500 stitches. And I am doing this in the called for DMC with the couple of fancy, each one has a couple of fancy flosses. So my auto ship is the pattern plus whatever fancy flosses are called for, and then I'm using my own DMC. And then my last new start is from a designer that I have been meaning to start one of hers for a long time, and I just haven't. But again, I was watching Pam's floss tube, and she showed hers, and I can't remember if this was her New Year, New Start or what, but I'm not doing the exact same pattern she is, but similar concept. So the designer is Carolyn Manning. So that tells you, and her geometric kind of patterns. Pam is doing, I think, Bohemian Rhapsody, and which I love, but I decided I needed to stick to one of the 3 patterns I had already purchased from Carolyn Manning. So what I chose is September Sapphires, which I'll post a picture of what it will look like here, which is part of her Shooting Stars collection. And I am doing this on 32 count. The colorway is called Blue Whisper. I don't know. I think this might be a Witchell. I bought it at the Southern Stitcher in Brookneal, Virginia this August. And it wasn't labeled the manufacturer. I don't believe it's Zweigart, but I don't know because there's no selvage edge on this, so we'll see. So that's as far as I've gotten. And you'll see actually a lot of purple. There's actually, the fabric is a very light blue, which it shows up better there. So that way, if I decide to leave a little bit of fabric showing when I frame it or whatever, it will, I think it will go with the colors, because there's a lot more blue in this than you're seeing here. Right now, you're only seeing this dark navy and a lot of purples, but the overall piece has a lot more blue in it. So that's, and I've actually worked on this more than once. I did like 500 stitches the first night I started it. And I did a couple hundred more stitches one day when I just wanted something kind of easy. It's nice because it's all, you know, diamonds and triangles, so it's pretty easy to work on. So that is it for my stitching. On the docket, I think I'm probably going to wind some yarn and cast on some socks today or tomorrow, sometime this week. We are leaving Friday for a cruise, and we'll be gone. It's an 8-day cruise, so we'll be gone for like 9 days. I don't generally spend a ton of time crafting on the cruise, but I'm planning to cast on some socks because they're small. I thought about taking the blanket I'm working on for the coworker, but that's just a bigger bag to tote around. Socks I can like stick in another bag. So I'm going to pull some yarn and cast on some socks, and I've got a couple of small little Mill Hill kits I'm going to take with me because that's just something small that I can just use my regular readers. I don't need a bunch of other readers. I can work on paper pattern and highlight. I don't need my, you know, hoop or anything like that. I just hold it in hand. So I'm going to take those just so I have some to do. And I am still debating a retreat start for the retreat I'm going to the first weekend in February. I haven't decided. There will be a retreat pattern that I think they said Bendy Stitchy designed. I'm not 100% sure. I may not have that right. And we will be able to start that then. But I think I'm also going to plan to take another something to start, either in case I'm not feeling the pattern, or just in case I want to have another start. So, but I haven't decided what that's going to be yet. I need to look through all my kitted stuff and choose something from that rather than choosing another pattern that hasn't been kitted and gathering that all together. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, so let's do some stashing for retirement. Okay, stashing for retirement. I have my couple of floss clubs that I get through Pam. These are my January flosses. I couldn't think for a second. So Classic Color Works. She does these alphabetical, so these are D's. I'm not going to go through all of everything. And Weeks Dye Works. I think we're mostly still in C's on them. It's interesting how, like, all these C's, they're all of a similar tone. But, and then my MPI for the month, which is 5 of regular colors and 1 of the Northern Lights. So we're in the browns, and then a light blue for the Northern Lights. I'm trying to remember what this is. I'm not sure I can't remember where this came from. It might have come with that, except I thought I left that all together. I have floss from Rami's Creations, and it might have been, so Rogue, last year I did the Rogue fabric and floss, and I got all 12 months, but then they kind of sent out like a bonus one at the end of the year, and I'm not sure. I can't remember if this came as part of it. It's Rami's Creations. It may have, but if so, for some reason I had put it had not kept it in a bag with the rest of it, which I'll show you, because they also sent some specialty flosses, some chronic and some rainbow overture. So that, and then moving into fabric, they sent 2 pieces of fabric. And again, I had done 12 months of, a floss and a fabric, but these were like extras. So we got a piece of Atomic Ranch blush in 36 count. It's actually a little pinker than it's showing. The light is kind of washing it out, but it's just a light pink. And then Prairie Land, which is a really nice, good neutral, darkish neutral. So got those. And then, where did that one come from? God, I'm so bad. I don't know. I think this may have also, I don't remember where this came from. I'm sorry. I don't think this was Rogue, but where did I get this? This is Mountain Air. So yeah, it may have been. This is Plum Pudding, a 36 count. That may have also come from Rogue. I'm not sure. Or maybe that and the Rami's Create. Oh, no, I got it. Okay, never mind. I think this and that were the final installment of the regular Rogue. And then these two and the fancy flosses, I mean the Chronics and stuff, were like the bonus. I think that's right. I also got my December Be Stitch Me, which was evergreen. I'm not going to take it out, but it's really pretty. 36 count of that. And then my friend Peggy sent me a couple things for Christmas. I showed you when I went parade, one of the bags she sent me. She also bought me a piece of white clay from Fox and Rabbit. 36 count, I think. Yeah, 36 count. A fat quarter of that. She gave me this cute little Grinch ornament that's made out of an oyster shell. She lives near the beach. She lives down near Myrtle Beach. She also gave me this, I've ripped the thing because I wanted to open it. It's a journal, but that has like a stitchable cover. And it's just, I think it's blank pages. Yeah, so it's like sketch or something. So I haven't decided, well, I've had it in the basket to show you. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with that yet. Oh, and Amy and Memory from Barefoot sent me this cute little shell ornament. They gave it to Peggy to send to me because they knew that we were friends. And they sent me a coupon too, but it had to be used in store and I'm being good. So I will be spending plenty of money with them in February, I'm sure. The other thing I got is I finally got my last 2 of the Cottage Garden Year in the Woods. I did this auto ship through Hobby House Needleworks. And so I got the beaver, which was number 11 with fancy flosses. And I got the reindeer. I love the reindeer. The reindeer, the fox, the bear, and I think the ferret are the ones that I really love the most. So I don't know if I'm going to, I don't know. I still haven't decided if I'm going to do all those. And then the other thing is, let's see, I got my last box of loops for the pot holders. I'm still behind on those. Wasn't overly thrilled with these color schemes because they're just not. The theme was like a New Year's Eve box. Sorry, I'm having trouble getting my hands on things. So there's black and yellow and purple. Maybe that one. Not really my taste, so I may not actually make these exact patterns in these colors. I may use, I may just put these loops in my kind of stash of loops and use them kind of a Mardi Gras color, too, to me. I'm not, you know. So it's black, yellows, grays, and purples. Most of those patterns are just a little too dark for my taste, but we'll see. Sorry. I still have 2 or 3 months that I'm behind on that I haven't done. And then the last thing to show you is a couple of books that my husband got me for Christmas. These are things I'd had on my Ravelry wish list as things that I wanted, but I just wasn't personally willing to spend the money on. Not that they're super expensive. They're, you know, just one of those things. But so he got me this Japanese knitting stitch Bible, which just has a bunch of stitch patterns. A lot of twisted stitches and cables. You know, so, you know, one of the, in my head, someday when I have more time, I'll design shawls or something. We'll see. And then this book, which my friend Michelle has, and she's offered to loan it to me, and I just haven't taken her up on it, because it's one of the, I don't know, it's one of those books I just wanted to own. It's called In the Footsteps of Sheep, and it's written by a woman, Debbie Zawinski, who basically walked across Great Britain. Let's see, I think there's a map here that kind of shows the way she went. And it's kind of about her journey and, you know, just... yeah, so... I don't know. I haven't read it yet, so I don't know. She literally walked the whole time. I don't know. Michelle said it was really good. The idea, the concept, I liked. So I just wanted to read it. So I will, thought about taking that on the cruise, but it's kind of it's paperback, but it's a decent weight, and our luggage is going to be heavy enough as it is. So anyway, I've buried my list here. Let me make sure I haven't forgotten anything. I think that's about it. It's a calendar. We are leaving Friday for a cruise. Well, we fly to Tampa on Friday. The cruise leaves Saturday. So we do not pay for internet or anything on the cruise. We choose to use it as a time to disconnect. So other than the couple of ports that we will be in, we will not have email or cell phone or any of that. We're doing a half Panama Canal transit, so we only have 2 ports in 8 days. Excuse me. Which is fine with me. And then the weekend after we get back, I'm going to the beach retreat, the Myrtle Beach retreat, put on by Barefoot Needle Arts in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And my friends Michelle and Peggy are doing that with me. And that's really all I have planned. I mean, I'm going to the Queen City retreat in October, but after the February beach retreat, I don't have anything specific planned. As I previously mentioned, my work is going to be much busier this spring. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to go. Sometimes I'm working 80 hours a week, and other times it surprises me and it's not so bad. But so I am going to aim to try to record at least once a month. But if it turns into 2 or 3 and you don't hear from me, it just means I'm probably working a lot. But it also means I'm probably not making a ton of progress on stuff to show you. So, there are occasionally weeks where, back before I got into cross stitch, really, you know, I would text my friends and go, I have not touched my knitting all week. I'm about to go crazy. So, excuse me. Anyway, I hope that all of y'all are having a nice 2023 so far. Let's hope that nothing traumatic happens anytime soon. And that's all I got, really. So, I'll talk to you later. Bye, y'all.